There are tales whispered from island to island, stories of sea beasts, of blood-soaked sails, of captains who made the ocean their grave. Among them drifts the name Portia Maye, remembered not as a sailor, but as a specter. Portia Maye was born to the sea. Her earliest memories rocked by the tides aboard her father's ship, the Knight's Dream. Her father was a founding figure of fortune, a prosperous settlement nestled on an uncharted Caribbean island. Merchants, sailors, adventurers, all called fortune home. A haven for trade, culture, and stories from every corner of the world. In the shadow of grand sails and fragrant spice crates, Portia devoured the stories her father read aloud. Tales from Arabian Nights, the tragedies of Shakespeare, and the riddled myths of the Greeks. She learned to chart the stars, to read the wind, and to love the sea. Adventure was her lullaby, her creed, her inheritance. On one such voyage to Italy, young Portia watched as silks changed hands for silver and sugar. But of all the treasures acquired, her favorites were living. A litter of Cane Corso pups, strong and alert. Her father promised one to her, the strongest, for her 12th birthday. She named them Caesar, King, Shah, Athena, and Snug. But before their training could begin, dark clouds gathered. A violent storm ripped them off course into waters ruled by a name feared in every port: Mad Moloch. Moloch's ship struck fast, overwhelming Portia's crew. Survivors were chained, dragged aboard, and forced into brutal spectacles. Moloch and his pirates wagered on the outcome, turning torment into a gain. The last man standing would be granted freedom, or so they said. When Portia's father refused to take part, Moloch's son, the sadistic Tariq, subjected him to hours of suffering. And when he finally tired of the cruelty, he ended his life. Portia, kept alive by Moloch's command, became a pawn. Her knowledge of Fortune's outer defenses was the key to the pirates' next conquest. The plan was clear: use Portia to infiltrate Fortune and burn it to the ground. But Portia had her father's spirit. She used her skills in celestial navigation to lead them off course, through a place feared by all who sailed its waters, the Dragon's Tooth. It was a place spoken of in hushed tones. Some said it bled into a darker realm, a malignant space ruled by monsters not meant for human eyes. Portia didn't care. If it brought doom upon Moloch, she would gladly perish. As the Knight's Dream approached, the skies darkened. Cold, black fog began to curl across the waves. The wind rose into a shriek, and rain fell in heavy sheets. The sea swelled into black mountains that towered over the ship. Moloch, sensing a power beyond his reckoning, turned his ship and abandoned her. But Portia stayed the course. Heart pounding, teeth clenched, she gripped the helm as lightning forked across the sky. The ship groaned and buckled under the pressure. Water surged over the deck. And then she saw it, a towering silhouette through the fog, a massive tentacle, impossibly large, crashing down upon the deck. Everything went black. She awoke, Salt in her mouth, bruised, broken, but alive. Above her, Snug's wet nose pressed into her cheek. His bark, fierce and insistent, pulled her from the edge. They were marooned on a beach of purple sand. Unnatural, impossible. This was no place known to sailors. It was the Dragon's Tooth. The island was wrong. Colors bent unnaturally. Time swirled like mist. Horrors crept in the shadows, and sometimes Molak's sneering face appeared in every corner of her mind. Portia survived on washed-up debris, drying seaweed, and cracking coconuts for sustenance. Every night, new sounds haunted her. The screech of twisted predators, the sob of survivors, the whispers of something deeper. And often, in the flickering edges of her vision, Molak. She shrieked until Snug jumped into her arms, anchoring her sanity. Years passed. She battled beasts of fur, scale, and something in between. Snug grew monstrous, loyal, watchful, over 100 pounds of sinew and fang. Together, they became the island's myth. Others kept their distance. Those who didn't regretted it. If they lived long enough to feel regret. And just when hope withered like driftwood under sun, she saw it. Night's dream, floating once more through the black fog. Without pause, she dove into the water, but she was not alone. Other castaways attacked relentlessly. She fought with the fury of an unleashed storm, her mind blurring every face into Molak's. Only those who could help man her ship were spared, her judgment swift and unwavering. After the immediate threat was held at bay, her thoughts turned to Snug. She called out for him, searching through the chaos, but found no trace. No bark, no sign of her faithful companion anywhere. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. In that moment, something within Portia shifted. She became something new. A specter upon the Caribbean. She hunted only pirates, taking their gold and pieces of their minds, torturing them to feed the thing growing inside her. A presence, a parasite, a darkness. It demanded blood. When she resisted, the parasite retaliated, twisting her thoughts until every crewman wore Molak's face. She'd fall into berserk fury until her guard dogs barked her back to reality. The illusions would vanish in wisps of black fog. Fear ran deep in the hearts of the crew. They had followed Portia through fire and fury. But now, as her obsession festered into madness, they knew it was only a matter of time before her wrath turned on them. Her eyes no longer held reason, only the storm. When word finally reached them of Molak's whereabouts, they did not rejoice. They plotted a mutiny, born not of greed, but of fear. A desperate attempt to free themselves from the grip of a captain they no longer understood. But Portia was no fool. They struck and failed. The night stream became soaked with the cost of their failure. By the time the blood had cooled, only 5 remained alive, trembling amid the carnage. surrounded by her snarling hounds. They collapsed to their knees, begging for mercy. The dogs awaited a signal, a single word, a nod, but it never came. The deck of the night stream groaned underfoot, slick with salt and stained with blood. Portia, eyes alight with purpose, knew that bringing down Mad Moloch would require more than just steel and fury. It would require strategy, deception, and a steady hand of vengeance. She didn't have enough blades or allies to take him in open combat, but she had wit, and she had rage. That would be enough. With a command as sharp as her cutlass, she ordered the mutinous crew to clean the decks and feed her hounds. The growls of hunger from below echoed her own. Then, with wind in the sails and fire in her heart, Portia steered the night stream straight towards Moloch's island stronghold. Moloch was not there. Out on the high seas, the butcher pirate hunted plunder, blind to the storm sailing for his shores. In his absence, Portia's crew overran the island with ruthless precision. Moloch's son Tariq was seized and locked away, bait for a trap only a parent's love could spring. When Moloch returned, the island was deathly quiet. No crewmates, no guards, only a lone woman waiting on the shore, framed by treasure chests overflowing with gold and jewels. She bowed low, cloaked in charm and mystery, and offered her bounty freely. She told him she wished to join his crew to pledge loyalty through gold and feast. Moloch, suspicious yet tempted, accepted. When he asked about his son, the woman, unrecognizable to him through the veil of time and vengeance, simply smiled. "You'll join us for dinner," she said. The banquet was grand, the wine rich, the bread warm, and the meat, oh the meat, perfectly roasted, blackened on the outside, juicy and tender within. Moloch devoured it with greedy delight, praising the flavor. Was it boar? Venison? Portia smiled then, not the smile of a cook, but of a reaper. She rose, stepped across the gilded table, and in one slow, deliberate motion lifted the golden dome from a silver platter. Tariq's severed head stared back at Moloch, frozen in terror, lips parted in an eternal scream, vomiting gold coins and gemstones from its gaping mouth. Moloch's bellow of anguish shattered the air like cannon fire. He thrashed in grief, a beast wounded, not by blade but by betrayal, and Portia drank in his torment, fed on it, until the room darkened. A thick, living fog rose from the floor like ink spilled from the void. She lunged forward, ready to end him, to finish the vengeance she had nursed for years. But just as her blade descended, Moloch was wrenched backward by something unseen, torn into the darkness before she could strike the final blow. Portia's triumph turned to fury, her mouth twisted in disbelief, her neck muscles corded with rage. He was gone, snatched away before she could crush his skull beneath her heel. Her voice broke into guttural snarls, a language lost to grief and madness. Then, a sound, a bark. She froze, another bark. Clearer this time. Snug, her hound, the one she had lost to time, to war, to death. He had Moloch's scent. She did not question the impossible. There was no time for reason, only instinct, only vengeance. With eyes blazing and heart thundering, Portia charged headlong into the black fog, chasing the echo of her lost companion, chasing her enemy, chasing the end of her story. The fog had opened, and she entered it. Enter the portal, remain in the fog.